Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming out today. We're going to do a club assembly today. We're going to talk a little bit about our club. I'd like to go over some of the goals that I have as president of our club this year, and also a couple of Rotary goals that have been a long-standing goal of Rotary. So to begin, I'd like to start off by just reciting, or I'll say it, you don't have to recite it with me, but the four-way test. So first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And of course, as what was mentioned earlier, five, will it be fun? I wanted to just take a moment and just have you all, we recite that, but sometimes we don't really think of the meaning behind it. And given some recent members that have left, I just wanted to remind us all that we all are likely going to disagree about certain things. With the recent elections that have gone on, so there were some in our club that had hurt feelings and have left the club. But I'd like to remind us all that we need to do better and we need to be better, particularly when it's involved with those within our club. No personal attacks and things like that. We're better than that and we're above that. So I'll do a better job as a president this year as well to make sure that's what I'd like to see is that when we have elections and things like that, I'm happy to have everybody come and present that they're running for office or something like that. But aside from that, we need to remember that we have more of a higher mission as Rotarians, and we need to keep that at the forefront of our minds. So that's the first item that I just wanted to bring before everybody, and everybody that's here is obviously not involved in either of those groups. You are the regulars that are great people, and I appreciate all of you that are here, but we'll include that. And then secondly, what I would like to talk about is another one of Rotary's missions, and that is polio. Zero, what is it we pay? Is it 36 per year per member? Is that what? Or quarterly?
42.
42.
We donate.
We donate $42.
We raised $2,800 this year that we sent.
And we raised $2,800 was what we sent to the foundation. So a really great cause, of course. I've done a little bit more research recently about it. And the reason I wanted to highlight some of this is for some of our newer members that may not know the global impact that Rotary has had. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking because there's a video that probably can share it better than I can. So just a couple of things about Rotary and its fight to eliminate or eradicate polio. It was back in the 70s that Rotary first said, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to come together and we're going to eradicate polio. And it's been a march ever since then, and we are really close. There's only two countries left, Afghanistan and Pakistan. When I joined the club only 5 or 6 years ago, there was quite a few cases in Africa and India. And so it has been officially eradicated in those two countries even since I've joined the club. So amazing, really, really great progress. As I did a little bit of research, I found it interesting the similarities of where we are today with this coronavirus and what it was like when some of our members were growing up in the 50s.
I can see on the Iron Lungs here, and everybody's, wearing masks.
Yeah.
And to me, when we started wearing masks again, it just brought back polio to me. That's kind of what it meant.
And I had no idea. And I'm not, I'm being fed information from where you guys are all being fed information from. And there really hasn't been that connection. I've never come across anything that's, maybe you guys have, that's compared the coronavirus to this other pandemic that we were seeing 60, 70 years ago.
That's because polio is a hell of a lot worse than this.
And it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had,
You-
when I was between the 8th grade and 9th grade, and I was quarantined for 2 months, and there was people dying all around me. And I was in the hospital, and probably had it too, didn't you?
I had it too.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow,
I went to the hospital in the town where he lived, and they had really great treatment there. The nuns at the hospital had calculated a way to help people out, and therefore we didn't have ongoing problems from it.
What town was that?
Salina, Kansas.
That's neat. That's just amazing to me.
I think it's reoccurring. I parked cars in Vegas for 40 years, and this lady kept coming in, and she was in a wheelchair. And I asked her, she said she had had polio when she was younger, and it reoccurred when she was in her 60s.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't reoccur. It's a syndrome that hits people that had it.
Yeah.
It's called post-polio syndrome. And you don't have polio, but you have all the same symptoms again. So every time I get a twitch, I'm wondering, have I got it?
Kind of like shingles with the chickenpox virus or something.
Maybe.
Interesting. But yeah, it's been a cause of Rotary, and we are, as they say nationally, we are this close to eradicating it. Obviously, it's more difficult to get into places like Pakistan and Afghanistan. It makes it more expensive. But there's been some great contributors over the years. But just a couple of things, just a couple of reasons to give. Routine and surveillance-driven vaccination over 400 million children a year has reduced the incidence of polio from 350,000 cases per year in the 1980s to 176 in 2019. I think it was in 2017 we were down in the teens. I think it was below 20 cases of polio in the world. But in order to be completely eliminated, you have to vaccinate the kids and not have a new case for 3 years in order for that to be eradicated. And so we're really close. What's stated here, but removing 99.9% of a tumor does not make you cancer-free, right? So that's the same thought that, we have to eliminate it and keep on going beyond that. Even if we hit 0, we still have to vaccinate for a few consecutive years to make sure it's completely gone.
A lot of that's political too. Some of those Mideastern countries won't, they're fighting it. The terrorists won't let us vaccinate.
Yeah, they won't. We've made some headway though. We are able to get in with some into Pakistan and Afghanistan, but it is a slower process for sure. But luckily, the last couple of years we've been able to get in there and do some good. We've partnered up with Bill Gates, and I forget the number, but it's several $1 billion that he's put into ending polio, along with Rotary. And Rotary has spent billions of dollars as well to eradicate polio. Nobody wants to break a promise or put a child at risk. Rotary pledged $50 million through 2017 and 20 to keep our promise for the first 2 years. Gates expected that we'd do it again and pledged to extend this match. We don't want to disappoint him or be able to, we want to be able to match what he has done. Last year, the clubs donated Utah clubs donated $104,000, or an average of $63 per member. And this year, this was, I don't know what the final numbers are because this was before the year end, but it was at $48,000 or $29 per member. And like Zerl just mentioned, we do $42. But my encouragement is to encourage each of us to consider donating more. The $42, I think that they said with $100 you could do 30. You could do 30 vaccinations with $100. So that may be a goal that you may want to set personally, what you could do to help the fight with polio. And of course, every dollar that you provide, that is matched by the Bill Gates Foundation. And just some reassurance there, Rotary Foundation spends 92% of what you give for polio on polio. It has the highest possible 4-star rating by Charity Navigator. It has great partners, the World Health Organization, the CDC, UNI, CFF, and the Gates Foundation. So from 2000 to 2018, that's where it says that the Gates invested $3.7 billion in polio eradication. He did a quarter of that via matching funds with Rotary because he knew they would serve by giving, and he saw them come from all over the world to Africa and India to give by serving. Local Rotarians in the developing world are critical to raising awareness, knowledge, and acceptance of polio immunizations. And then I just have this little video here that will explain a lot of it and some of the history we've talked about. Except for I forgot that I need to turn on my internet. While you're looking at that, I did hand out on each of the tables, there's some of the committees that we've established. So if you want to just take a second and just make sure you see what committee you're on, as well as you don't have to be limited to committees. You can be like most of us that are in here that are pretty much serve on all of the committees. But if there's something else that you would like to do or you'd like to be involved in, the best way to be involved with Rotary is to jump in and sign up for things. And luckily for me, I was in the club for about a year, and I was on that teetering point of, was Rotary just a group that you got together and had lunch? And I wasn't sure if I wanted to just come and have lunch with people I didn't really know very well. And then Frank threw my name in and put me on the board and got me involved with a lot of other things, and it's been a great experience. So be sure to get involved. That's zero.
Yeah. We heard the Jeopardy music over there. You obviously have nothing to do at home.
We should all see this.
Anyway, I'll include it on the link for the newsletter, and you guys can check that out. So, yeah.
I just want to let you know that there is a group of Rotarians in California that every year do a trip to Caborca, Mexico, which borderlines with Arizona. And I've been with them a couple times. They go to Caborca, Mexico to make sure that kids are vaccinated with polio vaccines. And it's really quite an interesting trip because It's, they start in California, obviously, but, you know, for those of you that travel to California, might want to meet them in Arizona. They travel by bus and they make it a 2-day, 1-night trip, and they stay in a hotel. And the government of that particular city, they make sure to know what colonies are the ones that need the vaccinations for polio. And they keep track of those kids, and they take the vaccinations in coolers, you know, small or medium-sized coolers, and then you go and you yourself give the drops of the vaccination for polio to that particular child. So it's quite invigorating, and then you can really see why you would want to do the big push for polio, because these kids are in the middle of, you know, colonies in the middle of nowhere. It's like, you know, places like you guys were saying, the Navajo community where there's no water, there's no nothing. So they do keep track of those kids, because you have to vaccinate them, I believe it's twice, or you have to have a follow-up for every child. I think it's twice or 3 times. In any case, that's still going on. So if you guys are interested in doing something like that, I sure will point to you in the right direction, because it's really a fun thing.
Yeah, that would be a fun thing to do, thanks.
Yeah.
So just moving on then, I just wanted to go over a few of the goals we have for this next year. It's going to be a great year. It's going to be a roller coaster with coronavirus, as we all are aware. But I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about some of the things that we've already, as we've established here today, on how we can bring more fun into our club and what we can do. I think that the most fun that we do, though, is when we are involved with service. And so I encourage everybody to, like I mentioned, to get involved and continue to serve, because that's where you'll receive the most joy. We're going to work hard, and we are going to build the first phase of the Water Canyon Park. I think that we are well on our way. I think we've got enough funds, and if we are able to raise a little bit more, we're going to be able to put in the first phase of our water park, and it's really going to get the ball going there. So it's going to be a great project, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's really going to tie the community together, I think. So the next goal internationally, I call it internationally, but we're going to build a relationship with our Navajo Nation community, and we're going to continue to help bring them out of third world poverty. We're going to help bring them water or power or whatever humanitarian aid they might need. So we're going to do that. I'm really excited about this idea because, similar to like what was just explained, we can be there in half a day, and we can experience that firsthand. You know, we can go down there and make that improvement in the lives of those people, and not only just putting money somewhere that you're thinking that is going to do good, but we'll be able to go down there and see the change on the faces of those people and meet them face to face and see an impact personally. So I'm excited about that. That's something that we can be involved in so close to our community here of Cedar City. And then just some other kind of goals that we have is to continue to grow the club. This is going to be difficult. I think it'll make us stretch a little bit with coronavirus that's going on. We don't have the same face-to-face interaction, and that's why we have technology going on. We're going to experiment with some things, and we're going to pull out of this and be bigger and better. But we're currently, I believe, at 75 members, and the goal is to get another 6. But I wouldn't be surprised if we surpassed that. So.
Hey, can I make a comment on new members?
Yeah.
It has to do with the inductions, and it's just a comment and open. I throw it out for consideration. We have a process where we read to them a new member when they are inducted, part of the Rotary goals and expectations. And it doesn't hurt any of us to be reminded of those, but it takes up a little bit of time. And then we don't do it now, but we would everybody go and shake their hand. And I come away from those knowing maybe what the guy or gal's name is, but I don't know anything else about him. And I'd like to maybe waive some of that preliminary stuff and give them a couple, 3 minutes just to tell us where they came from, just a little bit about them. So we have that much of an introduction to them rather than what we're doing.
I think that's a good point. I think we could probably include that, Miriam. So a couple of, we plan on doing district trainings, contribute to the annual fund, goals there of $15,000. And then I do have in here the Polio Plus contribution of a goal of $4,000. I think you mentioned we raised $2,500 this year.
2,800.
2,800. So $1,000 more dollars, and I think that that's attainable. I think if we, throughout the year, if we continue to talk about this some more, that's very attainable, as well as I think we could surpass that. So easily, with our service committee, we have identified 8 service projects as a goal, and we're well on our way with the under 40 group that really likes to get out and serve, and so that's something that we'll continue to do. And again, I encourage you to come out and be involved with those service projects. The other goal we have is to have thriving Interact and Rotaract clubs. So we'll have 2 Interact clubs this year. We've got new chairs and new energized members that are going to start our Interact club in Canyon View, and then in Cedar High School it's going to continue to roll on. So those are some of the goals that we have. Of course, there's a lot of other things that every one of us does to keep this club going, and everyone seems to do their part, and I appreciate everybody in doing their part and making this club function. So thank you for helping this be another great year, a great weird coronavirus year. So thanks, have a good evening. Okay, so let's stand and do the 4-way test. 5-way test. 4-way test plus 1.